Here's the coolant pump. Needs a serious cleaning. I'm not going to use coolant on the lathe, and I never did, but I'm going to clean and paint the coolant pump anyway to put it on, so it doesn't have to lie around. I've prepared the coolant pump for painting, and for priming first. I have no idea if I would be able to get that badge back on, so I think I'll leave it there and clean it up before I paint, or after I paint, or both. And this is the gib holder from the back of the carriage. At some point I realized it should be painted. It doesn't look like it has been painted from the factory, but 4 of the sides of it needs paint, I think. So I'm going to prime these parts now and then paint them some later day. I finished painting the coolant pump the other day, and that's the gib holder. So I think I'll put the coolant pump together now and put it onto the ship tray. I cleaned up the gib holder, and it's just a small matter of trying to fit it under there. And that was definitely easier when the taper attachment was taken off. I guess we'll manage in some way. Maybe I'll just leave the camera here so we can, maybe you'll see if it works or not on the first try. It's really heavy. Believe it or not, I didn't think that would work. And believe it or not, I have to take it down again. There are 2 screws on the back side here that keep the gib in place. They are kind of big flathead screws that sits there. Done it once, maybe I'll be able to do it once more too. The gib holder and the drip tray is on again. So it's one project done. And for those of you that think that this project is almost over, you're wrong. At least there, it's the things that are not done yet. Now we're going to do a little test, and for that we need a chuck. That's the small 4-jaw chuck, and that's the big 3-jaw chuck. And I've cleaned the spindle and checked it for burrs, and there was actually a small burr somewhere right there. I stoned that down, so now we'll just lift the big 3-jaw chuck onto the spindle and we'll do the test. The truck is in place, and now I'll do the test. Yeah, I wired up the electricity now. Power goes in there. Power comes in there and goes up there and down to the motor to there and to the control panel there. Turn it off, turn it on like so. And down here we have the motor and the motor mount, and since some of the viewers didn't think the motor moved when I engage the clutch, we'll do a simple test here now. There we have a very good view, and the motor mount is just barely touching the wood piece. So we will see what happens when I engage the clutch. Well, I guess it's pretty evident what happened. The motor lifted about half an inch or something. So that's going to be glued down. I touched up some of the paint on the tailstock, and so I can put the handwheel back on now. I'm not really happy with how the tailstock came out, but I just got too bored with the painting of it and spackling. So here's the handwheel. And then bronze washer. Guess we need a wrench for that, to get that seated properly. Maybe we don't. Oh yeah, I think we do. Like so. I think I'll put you down here on the bed while I do this. You can see it, yeah. Here. And the set screw. Doesn't really need a lot of torque, I think. So it's a little bit rattly that, but it's okay. There's the high gear. Here we have the motor tied down. There's the motor, and there is where it's going to be glued down. I'm going to grind away the epoxy paint with this grinder, and then we'll mix up some 2-part epoxy and glue the mount down. I guess I'll put some pressure on it with the motor, and I'll put it, after it hardens in a week or something, I'll use it to pull down the motor just a little bit. I mixed up the 2-part epoxy and have ground down the floor and cleaned it with thinner. So I think I'll put the epoxy down on the floor and then way too much epoxy. That's what I experienced last time, because when you push down on it, it just only need a very thin layer. So I'll just put it down and I'll bring you back when it's done. That's it. I think I had a little bit too much epoxy, but not too much. There's a little bit left over on the inside. You can see it's oozing out a little bit, but it's better to have a little bit too much than too little. So in a couple of days or a week or something, I'll fasten it down and test how it works. While you have the grand view of the lathe, I will try to answer a question that has come up from François Fouché, if I pronounced that correctly. First he asked if I had any pictures or video of the lathe before I started the restoration, and I don't have any video really, but most of the pictures I have from before the restoration are posted, or they are in the video called Part 0. So anyone wants to look at the old Battleship Grey paint can go back to that video. And then he wondered where I got it and things like that. And I'll try to explain that too. Since the on-the-fly video explanation didn't work so well, I will do a voiceover instead. I bought the lathe from one of the used machinery dealers in New Jersey. He had it listed on eBay for a not too unreasonable cost, and I made an offer for the lathe, including creating and delivery to the harbor in New Jersey, and they accepted the offer. They delivered it to Jet Carrier, which is a freight forwarder here in Norway that basically ships stuff for people from the USA to Norway at a reasonable cost. They ship large as well as small, both boat and air. My lathe went on a container ship and arrived in Norway. Then I arranged for a shipping company here in Norway to bring it to me with a crane car or lorry. The reason I got a Pacemaker lathe is simply because they were, and maybe still is, one of the best manual lathes made. Maybe along with Monarch and a few others. I really hadn't planned on doing such an extensive project, but after I took it all apart for way grinding, I thought I might as well paint it and do a few other improvements. The way grinding never really happened due to circumstances out of my control, so that is something I still want to do, but I haven't found a way grinding service that is reasonable and good quality. So 10,000 euros is too much. So if anyone knows anywhere in Scandinavia that does good work for a more reasonable cost, please let me know. I've connected up this light now. I bought it long time ago because when the machine is on, or when the circuit breaker is on, you can barely hear it, so it's easy to just leave the machine on for overnight or over a weekend or whatever, and I wanted to have a light so I could see when it's on or off, and that's why I bought that. And now I've connected it up to after the 120 transformer. So I'll turn it on here now, and we'll see. There, nice green light. The only problem is where to position it. Originally I had thought about positioning it somewhere around here. Maybe you can see at the end of the electrical cabinet. So obviously that's in the way, and up here there's not enough flat space. So, and down here you can't see it very well from the front of the lathe. So on the top obviously you can see it, but I think that's kind of unelegant. So I'll think about it. You can come with your suggestions about where I should put it. I'm going to mill the mounting surfaces of the apron tray now, so they sit flat against the apron, because that one has been broken off and welded. And now I addressed back the weld, fixed this part here that was welded up to. I'll just plane that and that, so they are in the same plane, and then more painting. I imagine this setup is going to shatter like nothing else, so I guess we'll take small cuts. The shutter wasn't too bad on the last pass, and now they're in the same plane at least, so I think we'll settle for that. I'll just have to dress that part there back with a file so it looks the same as the other one. And then we'll start painting. I installed this cover for the end support for all the screws. Still missing the one on the other side because that needs to be turned because it was so pitted, so I can't polish it properly. Or maybe I should just paint it. We'll see. I don't know if this is the big day or not, but everything is running and working, and we'll just check the feeds and things like that. 180 more or less. Of course I have the list with about 20 things I need to fix still, but it's working. That's good. And the oiling is working too. I can really bring you in closer here. You can have a look at the cross slide there. Maybe you can't see it very well, but it's oiling like a lot. Because there's an automatic oil pump in the apron that's driven by the drive rod there. So everything is oiled and working.